Most of the times when the new food comes, nobody wants to go back to the old food. So if the old food, if you see there are 2, 3 leftovers here, just get them out one evening and just repurpose them, recycle them, and get it out of the way before you start, bringing in new food. Because once you start cooking new food, the old food is likely going to the trash, and we're trying to avoid wastage as much as possible. By the way, welcome, wealthy Christian woman. Today I want to talk about avoiding waste in the kitchen. There are a couple of things that I do to avoid waste in the kitchen. Number one, when I go grocery shopping, I check the pantry, I check the fridge, I check the freezer before I go. And the reason I check is because if I don't check, sometimes I go to the shop and I buy things that I already have at home. I mean, if I buy sugar, flour, rice when I have some at home, that's fine because those are not things that easily get bad. But most of the times, if you have like fresh fruits and vegetables, tomatoes, onions, those are things that can sometimes easily get bad. So one of the ways to avoid waste is to check your fridge, check your refrigerator, check your freezer, check your pantry before you go shopping. That way you don't buy things that you already have at home. Second thing to do is to have a cooking plan. You don't necessarily have to have like a fully noted down menu. You can have a menu, that's good. That's actually very good for budgeting. But even if you don't have a menu, have a mental picture of your planning, of what you're planning to do within the week or the week after. Okay, this week I'm cooking this, I'm cooking that. So when you're shopping, you kind of have a structure in mind. Because when you go shopping without a plan in mind, you end up buying things that you will not use. For example, you don't really have any plans and then you just go, you buy a bag of potatoes and then it stays in the pantry until it starts germinating. That's actually waste. Why? Because you didn't really have a plan or what you were going to do with it. You just bought it because you just saw it. Sometimes you see things in the shop and say, I think we would need this, whereas you don't really need it. So before you go to the shop, always have like a mental picture of this week. Okay, I'll possibly cook this. And then when you go shopping, especially for fresh products, you want to make sure that you're getting the things that you actually need within that week. I think everybody has a Kroger, a Walmart, TomTom. There's something around the corner where you can get, because you don't want to always have your vegetables that are always almost getting bad. Because you can find yourself where you're always cooking vegetables that are almost always getting bad. That's because of bad planning. That's because you just buy them and you don't have a cooking plan, and then they stay there for 2 weeks before you cook them. You want to eat your things fresh. So I'll recommend for perishables like tomatoes and stuff like that, buy them weekly. So that means you actually have a plan of what you're making that week. You know that you're going to need that. Then you can add that to your list. I typically do my main shopping like twice a week, which I go to Sam's Club, like water, the main things, flour, sugar, all of those, or I get them from Sam's Club. And then within the week, on my way from work, I can stop at the Kroger to get fresh tomatoes, onions, potatoes, things that I want to cook them within that week, because you don't want them staying home for so long. They easily get bad. Same with fruits. I don't buy so many. I just get, a bag of tangerines, a bag of apples, and then next week I rotate them. Bananas, I always have bananas because that's something people easily eat. But the rest of the fruit, I just rotate 2 fruits this week, and then the following week I rotate them, because if I just get oranges, bananas, apples, they're gonna sit there and get dry and get bad. So I'll put like 2 at a time and just rotate. The only thing I have all the time, I have all the time, tangerines and bananas, because they are things that people easily grab and go with. But other things like oranges, mangoes, pineapples, those are things that need a lot of work just to eat them. So even for the pineapples, I end up just cutting in the middle, taking a knife, chopping it through, and then, you know, scooping it out with a spoon. So shop wisely. You know the things that, you know, are rotating through quickly, so you can get more of those. You know the things that sit there for long, you don't have to buy them frequently, once in a while. And then quantity wise, you don't have to buy the bag. Just go to the ones that are exposed, pick out 3 or 4 apples, tie it in a bag and bring it home, and then next week go again, pick out 3 or 4 apples. Because if you buy the bag and it sits there and gets dry, starts getting bad before people actually eat it, that's not good. So you do the estimation in your home. What are the things that the kids are always eating more frequently? The fruits that, you know, that are high traffic, that are just high turnover. You can always get those, but the ones that you observe that are not really, they don't have a quick turnover, you don't need to buy the bag. Just go to the open tray, pick out 3 or 4, and that should be enough. So shop smart, that way you're not eating food that is almost getting bad. You're not buying things that you already have in the house, occupying your pantry, occupying the fridge, having it overloaded with things. And then secondly, another way to avoid waste is sometimes just look in the fridge and try and see the things that are already cooked. Try and recombine them, refix them, convert egusi soup to okra soup. Sometimes you just convert the things that are already there, because it's like, this thing is not selling, nobody's eating it. If you can convert it, just reconvert or repurpose it, recycle it, add something else, convert it to something else, and let it just, you know, keep it moving. Don't let it just sit in the fridge there for too long. If it's sitting there 3 days, you see people are losing interest, try quickly to repurpose it, recycle it, convert it to something else, add something else, refry it, add, freshen it up with onions, whatever you need to do. Get it going, turn it over quickly so it doesn't sit there, occupy the fridge, and you're cooking fresh, because the minute you cook fresh food, the old food, nobody's going to touch it. Well, at least except or some, you know, some special things. But most of the times when the new food comes, nobody wants to go back to the old food. So if the old food, if you see there are 2 or 3 leftovers here, just get them out one evening and just repurpose them, recycle them, and get it out of the way before you start, you know, bringing in new food. Because once you start cooking new food, the old food is likely going to the trash, and we're trying to avoid wastage as much as possible, because wastage is not a it's not a God. So we have to use wisdom as we manage the kitchen. So those are my tips, and those are the things I typically do to make sure that I avoid wastage or buying things that I already have at home, or just, you know. So I hope you learned something. I want to encourage you to like, share, subscribe to this channel, invite other mothers, other women. This channel is all about us women, mothers, talking about our money, our kitchen, our children, our prayer, just the things that happen in the life of a mother, right? The everyday life of a mother. But I promise you, as I get better at this, I'm going to eventually begin to incorporate some live videos. Instead of me just talking about this is how I do this, I can actually grab the camera, go over to the kitchen or wherever, and show you, you know, what I'm talking about, and demo some of the things that we'll be talking about. But you know, as we go and we increase our skill set, I think that we'll be able to get into more demos and practical stuff as we're on this channel. And please leave a comment if there's something that you want us to address or talk about. Please leave a comment in the comment section, and let me know some of the topics that you might, you know, want us to discuss on this channel around wealth, around our Christian life, and around our lives as mothers and as women. I love you. Jesus loves you. Remember that Jesus is Lord. Have a great one.